It's all good on the map. Sorry, I wanted to stack for the Q3. Oh.
Thank you for the bag.
Holy fuck, you're a god.
Keep calm.
Focus.
Hello?
Can you hear? Alright.
Hello?
Turning us down.
Hello?
Alright.
Hello?
So. Hello. We're good. Let's get started. So, welcome everyone. Today is Saturday, January 2nd. I'm Kerr, and this is MogTalk. I'm taking over the show for Frosty this episode because, unfortunately, sometimes his day job gets in the way of hosting the show. If this is your first time joining us, MogTalk is a show where we discuss a variety of topics involving Final Fantasy XIV to hopefully keep you informed and help make you a better player, whether you're a sproutling or a seasoned player. Today we have two special guests with us. First, a skilled healer who specializes in being an amazing scholar who has had Savage on farm for nearly 5 months. His name is Enigma Unleashed from Cerberus. And he's loading, oh no! Can we hear you, Enigma?
Hello.
Awesome. He's here with us today. And then next we have an extremely talented healer from Elysium. He is the first white mage to clear Alex Savage floors 2, 3, and 4, Miunih.
Hello.
Awesome. So how are you guys doing today?
We're fine. Pretty cold outside.
Cold? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's very
both
cold.
Literally.
both of you guys
It's
are
the warmest
in
winter ever.
Oh.
So.
Clearly, Miunih's in a sweater. Alright, so today's topic was actually highly requested ever since we started doing role-related shows like our tank show. Today we're talking about some hot topics on healers, and maybe we're going to throw out some tips that will help improve your own healing while raiding. Tonight we have a ton of topics to cover. We'll be talking about triage, communication, Alex Savage, DPSing, and being useful. If we have time at the end, we will dig into details to all 3 healing jobs, but if we don't, then we might have to do a healer show number 2. So, I guess to start off the night, guys, and sorry, Enigma, your camera's still loading for us.
Yeah, I know. I can see from the stream.
Alright.
Yeah,
I think
trying
it'll
to
be
fix
okay.
it and that, yeah.
Don't worry about it. If it comes back again, we'll just run with that, so it's fine.
Okay.
But
Sure.
I guess let's just go ahead and talk about triage. I guess, so one of the biggest questions we got on Reddit when we were trying to get the show ready is basically, should I let this person die, or do I have time to res this person and still keep everybody alive? So Miunih, what do you think about this priority system from a white mage's point of view?
Well, normally I keep myself alive, cause why not? But it really depends per fight. Like if you, like A1 is a completely different fight than A4. And if in the tank dies in A1, I get him up because there's 2 bosses. There always needs to be 1 tank alive.
Mm-hmm.
But in like A4, if a healer dies, it's the healer needs to get up before the other tank. It's only 1 boss, so.
Right. So you're basically saying it's kind of situational.
Yeah, it really depends per fight. It also depends which DPS dies. If like the monk dies before the bard, I'll probably get the bard up because the bard can have ballad.
Mm-hmm.
And the monk is just like, I mean, the monk just DPSs. It doesn't really do anything else. So.
Right. So I guess there's also this thing going around where it's like scholars should always res first, right?
Well, usually yeah, because the MP is better. They have lust touch, which can like heal them up straight away again. And honestly, the white mages start just to be healing, and I always see the scholar as like kind of a DPS. Like that's not actually a healer; it's more like a co-healer.
Mm-hmm.
And the white mage is like the main healer. And like if someone dies, someone needs to keep the tank up. That's usually the white mage. And you give the rest to the scholar or the Astor.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that as well. Enigma, what do you think? Do you kind of...
Well, in terms of mana management, yeah, obviously the scholar should have the priority on that. It also depends if you have a summoner in your party. But then it depends if the fight is, if you're in progression or not. If you're on progression, yeah, the scholar will res more often because usually you will want to save Swiftcast for an emergency situation. But if you're not in progression, obviously you're gonna use Swiftcast mostly for Shadow Flare, and like you will not expect people to get unnecessary damage. But if that happens, then I usually ask my white mage to do it in that case scenario. But yeah, like Miunih said, it's very, very situational. And I think it also depends on which stage of the fight you are. For example, obviously, if you're like 2% of killing the boss and Bard and Monk is dead, you would like to raise the Monk or whatever. But yeah, it's very, very situational, I would say.
Yeah, and also, like, I guess when you're in Duty Finder and you have this one DPS that just keeps dying, after a while,
I mean,
yeah.
if you just keep dying, like, it's just a waste of MP.
Do you
I'll
guys
probably
have,
do
like...
more DPS than that DPS itself.
Do you guys have, like, a threshold where it's like, after 2 deaths, okay, I'm done, I'm not raising you anymore, or, like, is that too much?
Well,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Min.
Well, it depends. It's like if you're in progression and someone dies over and over again, it's probably because they're trying to learn the fight. You know, get them up, try to get to the phases quicker. It doesn't matter if you have, you know, if you have weakness or brink of death. It's as long as you can learn the fight, go further. You keep resing, like that's your job. But if you're in like a perk and this same, like you're farming Thornton and then the same guy dies, just I don't know, just leave him dead. Tell him to replace himself, like.
Damn. Well, that makes sense. I can agree with that as well. So I guess healing in Savage content is pretty hard during progression. There's a lot of things that healers have to kind of deal with, like, for example, raid awareness, having to learn fights quickly to keep everyone going. Someone once brought up the point that, like, healers have to learn faster than the rest of the raid. Can you guys say anything about this? What do you think about that?
I would say you don't really need to learn faster than the rest of the group. I would say like the whole group needs to learn the fight equally as well. You might
Yeah.
say like the DPS have less to do, but that's not true actually, because if a DPS messes up something, it makes it hard for the healers and then it can lead to a wipe. You're basically wasting resources to correct a mistake, and those resources would be useful to you in another situation. And you are starting to starve, first of all from GCDs and then from mana on the tanks, let's say. But yeah, I would say it's not really healer specific. Like everyone needs to be aware of the mechanics of the fight, of what they have to do in the fight, and to be a general concept of very, very good communication flow. So you don't end up doing stuff that might interfere and cause situations like, for example, overlapping heals or using too many cooldowns for something, you know, and all that stuff.
So I guess this kind of ties in with MP management and using all your GCDs as a healer. Can you guys like talk about that a little bit more? Like when you're in Alex Savage, how important is this?
GCD is, in my opinion, more important than your MP. Like, I'm gonna take A4 Savage with Nisi for an example, because it's the perfect example for GCD starvation. There's like a moment in the fourth leg where you get 2 Nisis and you have 2 tanks to heal, and you need to basically regen all of them, because it kind of counters both the auto attacks and the regen ticks. But you have to heal them as well, like with just normal cures. The cures have a GCD, and there's a point where Discrete comes out, and there's also AoEs underneath you. You have to step out of the AoEs, which is basically a whole GCD, so you're already 2.5 seconds behind. If you're unlucky, you get another one, which is 5 seconds behind. Well, I mean, that's 5 seconds of cleric stance, that's 5 seconds, that's 2 Q2s. It's a lot can happen in that. And what we used to say, like Sin and I, Sin's my co-healer, like I'm just behind in GCDs, I just can't keep up anymore. And it's more important than MP. Like if my MP is empty, it's I mean it's a shitty situation. But if I'm behind in GCDs, people actually start dying more than if I don't have MP.
Wow, never heard of it said that way. So that's very interesting. So I guess that type of healing is a lot more preemptive and less reactionary in that case. Right?
Yeah, definitely. You anticipate what damage comes out, especially with Nisi. You know Nisi, it ticks hard, and you need to heal it. You need to heal yourself through Discord. You need to heal both the tanks. It's just a lot of GCDs. You can't do all of it at the same time.
That's crazy. So going back to learning ability just for a second. You guys were saying how, you know, DPS have to learn the same time as we do as healers.
Yeah.
But how about, like, just having raid awareness? Because we have to not only... Well, they're more focused on DPS, I guess, and we're more focused on keeping people alive. But would you say a certain type of person would have to be able to play healer really well?
Sorry, can you repeat a certain type of?
A certain type of healer would have to play a certain way, like to have a certain amount of raid awareness, I guess. Would you have to have more than the other roles in your group? Or is that a thing?
I wouldn't say so. I would say like just both healers need to be very aware of what's going on. You can't really have one healer paying special attention to something while the other healer doesn't. It just, I don't think it works, especially during progression.
Right. Okay. So I guess we'll just move on to DPSing as a healer. Which is pretty controversial, I guess. A lot of people argue about this. And a lot of Heavensward content actually kind of requires this until we get overgeared. First off, do you guys agree that healers should be forced to do some DPS?
Well,
I mean, you're the scholar, so...
So there are two opinions about this. Some people say that healers shouldn't DPS. Other people say it's okay. So my opinion on that is like since the game is designed with healers having those skills, obviously, first of all, like you should by default use those skills at some point. Like you don't have like 10 skills, 10 DPS spells as a scholar to just look at them. Like they just exist there, so you use them. You use all the resources the game gives you, and the same thing goes for white mages. And now. Moving to the next part, the fights are designed so the healers need to DPS for the DPS checks, especially during progression. So there you have two different scenarios conflicting each other, and you say, do I want to DPS or do I not want to DPS? Unfortunately, if you play Final Fantasy XIV, the question is you have to DPS. That's the role. You're not a DPS class, but you have to add up something more than just healing. That's just how it is on this game. So if you want to say, I'm going to play white mage or scholar and I'm a healer so I don't touch my spells, and it just doesn't work on this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
But so I guess... Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just want to say, like, I always have this thought in my mind that every class in the game is actually DPS class with second, like, responsibilities. Like a white mage is a DPS. It can do a lot of DPS actually, but the second responsibility is to keep the party alive, and especially in Savage, especially the last two fights, you really need to DPS to kill those fights. It's the same with tank. I think tanks also need to have the mindset of they are a DPS with the second responsibility of holding hate, mitigating damage. The more damage you have, the faster the fight is over. So.
Right.
Yep.
So I guess let's go ahead and jump ahead for a second here then. So would you say like tank damage is more important or healer damage? For example, your tank just like taking off their tanking stance and you having to heal a little bit more for him.
I would say a mix of both. You can't really have more than the other. You need to keep the balance where it should be. It's not really hard to find it. Like, I would say you just need to not go overboard on any scenario. Like, you can't have the scholar being in cleric stance for during all the fight, and the tank being on defiance, let's say, the warrior for all the fight. You need to find the right line between balancing tank stances and cleric stances, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
But you guys don't go into like progression, just DPSing though, right?
No.
No, of course not.
So you guys do play pretty conservatively, like your tanks, when you first go in.
Yeah, but when I go into a fight, I'm actually, I get this question a lot, like, are you in cleric stance? The first 2-3 pulls, I'm just not going cleric stance at all. Maybe the very first 10 seconds, because literally nothing happens. But I'm just keeping people alive. I need to learn the fight. My team needs to learn the fight. After like 5-6 pulls, you can think about going into cleric stance, put up those dots, and later even fill in with stones or whatever our scholars use.
Yeah, I agree, and most of the healers should have that in mind when they go in a new fight. It's perfectly fine if you don't DPS for the first couple of pulls until you start learning the phases and what's coming when. And that's the most awareness you need to have as a healer. What's coming and when. As long as you can memorize that fast, you will have no problems balancing your DPS with healing.
Yeah, in the end, it just becomes a rotation, like a DPS. Like as monk, you start like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's your main rotation, or whatever wherever your buttons are. In healer, it's slightly different. It's probably first a region cure, and then you go into cleric. You know when to hop out of cleric, put up the region again, put another cure for the big hit.
Yep.
Go back into cleric. It's just a rotation, honestly.
Interesting. So I guess let's see here. Let's move on a little bit to stat weights, because of course they took away accuracy, and that's kind of a hot topic too.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that? Just no accuracy at all on our gear.
Well, as a scholar, obviously I hated the way the accuracy was removed like that. I think it was not stated even in the patch notes or anything. They just randomly removed it, and we were like, "Where is my accuracy? Where is my accuracy?" And we ended up like going Alexander with less accuracy than you needed on binding coil.
Yeah.
Binding coil, okay, like. Well, I don't know. I was really salty at the start, but then again, you say, okay, whatever. I will find a way to deal with it. And obviously, I'm not complaining so much because I have a bard in the group. If you don't have a bard, stuff are like way worse in terms of accuracy. Personally, I don't like that they removed it completely. I would say they could keep the balance by having some accuracy, not too much. Right, like so you can do half decent in terms of miss ratio. If you go overboard on accuracy, scholar will end up being broken in terms of damage, and that's why I'm saying that. But white mage anyway can't really keep up with DPSing too much because he will just starve on mana. That's how the classes are designed. Scholar is designed more DPS oriented, while throwing few mitigation spells. White mage is mainly heal while throwing some DPS spells, but white mage can't keep up with DPSing for all the fight while scholar can, and vice versa, obviously. So yeah.
So then most white mages, I guess, would end up solo healing most of the time, or as
Most
in
of the
like
time, yeah.
yeah, as in like their scholars like mostly cleric, and then the white mage is mostly.
Usually, yeah. It's how it ends up. Also, I see like a question in the chat about Bard. The thing Bard does is I think it's called Rain of Death. Yeah, it is. And it lowers the evasion of the boss, which basically you need less accuracy to hit the boss. Which we appreciate, and I don't see any bard doing it, and Caldy hates it when I ask it, but he does it anyway. So.
Yeah, shout out to my bard, Rios, for not doing Rain of Death.
But honestly, in accuracy, like, it's a weird stat. It's like, it should be your highest gear priority to get accuracy, but on healers it's like you need to do it with melt. You can never hit the cap. And same with DPS, like you hit the cap, and after that anything over it is useless. So I don't know. I don't like the stat at all. If it was up to me, I would remove it and like cater the fights to calculate healer DPS and tank DPS. But they don't do it. It's kind of a shame.
Yeah, I think we were all hoping that Diadem would bring in some accuracy.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely none.
I'm glad they did.
No, it would be quite bothersome to farm Diadem just for accurate pieces. I think no scholar or white mage would like that, in my opinion. We just need viable options for accuracy, not farming Diadem.
Yeah. If I would farm Diadem, I would go mad. I wouldn't do it.
I did it for a couple of... I did it for a week, but I could, yeah.
Yeah, they nerfed it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, do you guys have like some suggestions for maybe dealing with the accuracy? Like if they could add like accuracy when you put on cleric stance or
That would be nice.
something like that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a nice suggestion. But still, I think accuracy on gear is perfectly fine as well. But the cleric stance suggestion is pretty nice as well.
Yeah, because Dark Knights kind of have something like that, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, all the things do.
Oh, okay. So, still going on about DPS. Should healers care at all about FF logs?
No. Dumb. Like the whole FF logs. Like I like FF logs as a DPS, but like if you go to the website and you actually check what they're damaging, it's all padding. It's all arrow 3s, it's all holies, and for black mages it's all fire 2s. It's not how you gouge a good healer or DPS really. Like it's nice to have your name up there, but that's it.
Yeah, I agree totally with that. It's only objective when you do only what you're required to do, and it's hard to find parses to do that. And it's obviously, if you do that, you're not going to get number 1 on the list. For me, the most competitive healer parses are just the parses that you're doing your run normally without any padding or without any cater. You can have your tanks going full vitality accessories or full tank stance. Oh, check it, I did 1k DPS as a scholar. Well, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is to do it when your tanks are playing like they should be. And that's why FF log is pointless for healers and now.
I mean, Enigma, you said at one point you were doing speedruns, right? And you would be on FF logs. But you said you weren't catered to at all.
Yeah.
So, like, exactly what placement were you then?
I think, I don't know if I'm still there. I was number 1 on EU in terms of parses.
And wait, which runs was this? Just wondering. Like, was it Alex or?
Yeah, Alexander Savage, obviously. Only Alexander Savage. I'm checking right now. Let's see, Europe. Yeah, for Europe, yeah, I'm still on the top all-stars. I don't have number 1 on all the fights, though, obviously. It's just a clear time, I think, that pushes you to the top. Because all my parses on FF logs are just clears with no padding and no special catering to your DPS, which all healers' DPS should be like that. I mean, the parses. So, yeah, I have like 4th place on A1. And I think I'm not in A2 list anymore. And yeah, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I do it only for my personal record anyway. I'm not really paying attention to FF logs.
Well, I guess like for like speaking, I guess more as a casual healer, it's not too useless. I guess like if you don't just look at the DPS side, you could just go in and see what other healers have done to clear it. Say if they're using a certain skill a lot more like Cure 3 or
Yeah, just make sure you check what skills they used over the course of the fight and on which target. You make sure they're not padding, and if the pass is a clean pass, you can see how the fight rolls over.
yeah. So it can be kind of useful.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No.
So I guess moving on a little bit, enough about DPS. There are some healers that don't seem to really understand how to make full use of their abilities. Are there some examples you guys have kind of seen or done where they have used their full potential? I don't know if you can think of any.
I don't know, most like healers in Elysium usually do that. But I mean, I'm guilty as well. Like I go into Thora and to farm. I really don't want to be bothered. Like paying full attention. I just put up my region, go AFK, come back, and I got my loot. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, the average scholar is just lazy anyway. I have a lot of examples to do that. Like, as a scholar, it's really easy for me to express my opinion on that because you have your pet management, and that's the main thing. The first mistake you will see is obviously scholars playing on pet on auto. As a main scholar, you should never ever be doing this, except if you're farming level 30 dungeons or something like that. You, as a scholar, you should know and you should learn how to manage your pet properly. You should start doing it like immediately if you want to play your class good enough and to its max potential. The next step is please remove all your DPS macros and play without macro. For the love of God.
Yeah, please do. It's really bad.
You lose so much by doing this. You lose so many GCDs by doing this. So, in my opinion, to play a scholar on his full potential, three stuff. You use Fairy on manual. You remove all your DPS macros. You can use healing macro with mouse over or whatever you want. And you spam Embrace manually. That's a very critical issue on progression, especially. If you want to min-max your class, you have to learn how to spam Embrace manually. It adds up a lot on your HPS. It creates room for your white mates and you. It creates room on your white mates to preserve mana. It creates room on you to DPS more. It's just so important that a lot of players just don't do it. And there are so many ways to do it. You just have to make a small research. You have to find how are you comfortable on spamming Embrace. There are a billion ways of doing it, just that people are just lazy to do it. Obviously, you need a mouse over macro for Embrace. I'm not sure if a console player can do it. I'm not really aware how controller works anymore. But yeah, all you need to do is use a mouse over macro for your Embrace. And just spam it on your party list to people while you're raiding. It's really simple, but yeah.
So I guess also for white mages, for us it's more about, I guess this is kind of going back a little bit, abusing our cooldowns, using Divine Seal and Presence of Mind.
Definitely, yeah.
When we can. Should those abilities kind of always be on cooldown? Do you think?
Well, aside from Presence of Mind, because I like to use it as a button. Divine Seal I usually use on cooldown. Asylum I try to use on cooldown. Assize you definitely should use on cooldown because it's also MP. Shroud absolutely. I see a lot of healers like holding up to the Asylum and just manually healing, but they keep forgetting like Asylum is not only MP-less healing, it's also GCD-less healing, which means you're gonna heal and you can do other things at the same time, like DPS or put up a stone skin for the big hits, stuff like that. Same with the size. It's extra damage, it's extra healing, it's extra MP, it's always good. Shroud, honestly, I use it on cooldown, and very sometimes if my tank really hates me, I can just save it for the hate dump, but I almost never use it for the hate dump. I always use it for MP. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I haven't had too many issues with Emity, I guess. Compared to Astro, they're pretty... It's
Yeah,
hard.
they're pretty tight.
Yeah, it's hard to keep that Emity down. Does Scholar have anything with the cooldowns? I'm not too sure.
Not in particular. Obviously, you have to use Etherflow, right? On cooldown. You can't hold Etherflow. It's pretty core. I think everyone should know that. Not quite. Other than using your pet skills effectively, that goes mostly for EOS because Shielding just has Sway Wind. Not so much, I would say, for Scholar. I mean, obviously you have to cycle your cooldowns properly as in every other class. But I've seen a lot of white mages that you start the pool and they wait like 5 minutes or something to use a Divine Seal, and I'm like, why? Please use your cycle your cooldowns. Cycle
Such a
your
waste.
cooldowns. Yeah. You start the fight, you can just start it with Divine Seal, Pop Regen, switch to Cleric stance. It's like you have to use all the resources you're given effectively, and cooldowns are the same thing. There's no point for a cooldown to be up for like more than its downtime. You know, like there's just no point. And especially healers need to concentrate on that because a lot of healers miss that part and they don't actually think about it while they should.
Yeah, and it's especially like important for things like presence of mind and benediction. You kind of,
Yeah.
if you're starting a fight, you want to like not use them, but after you learn the fight, you learn the rotation. You're just gonna start implementing them in your rotation. A3 Savage is a perfect example where the Dark Knight is gonna take the cleave solo. He pops Living Dead. You save Benediction for that because you can use it in Cleric Stand. You can keep DPSing. It's just a general increase in DPS and healing. It's a waste not to use it. So
Yeah, exactly.
So can you kind of like expand why it's kind of like a waste? I guess some people might not know
well,
why.
if you don't use it, it's going to be in cooldown for 5 minutes. You don't use it for 5 minutes. I mean, you might as well use it instead of like waiting for it. Like the chance something happens where you actually really need benediction is so small.
Exactly.
So it probably would have been a wipe anyway.
It's just all part of optimization.
Gotcha.
Like we were saying the other day about this matter of benediction, I like that Miunih brought it up. You can, for example, you can communicate with her tank and say,
Yeah.
okay, look, there's this tank buster. What cooldowns do you have up? This one and this one. Okay. Just use Home Dunk or Living Dead, and I'm just gonna benediction on you. And while he's doing that, you are on Cleric stance, and you don't need to switch. You pop a regen, you go Cleric stance. You have the tank buster, you pop Benny without switching off Cleric stance, and your Benny will be up again at some point of the fight. Unless you're on progression and you don't know what's coming, there's literally no reason to keep benediction in case of an emergency. You shouldn't work as a band-aid in general in this game. People should perform and not do mistakes that you will look to correct. If I can say it properly. Like you can't keep benediction because this A person might mess up in the fight, you know? If this person messes up in the fight and you don't have Benny to use because you want to optimize the fight, it's not your fault. That's what some healers try to do, work as a band-aid while they shouldn't. Progression is a bit different though, but it totally depends on the situation.
It also depends on like how you start the fight. If you start the fight, I wouldn't use those. I would just keep them on cooldown in case shit happens. Keep the party going. Keep learning the fight. And after you know the rotation, you know where the damage comes. You communicate with your tank. Like, fine, use Living Dead. I'll use my Benny here, and it's all cool. It's all optimization.
So I guess how much should we? Getting a little off track. How much should we like worry about our MP when we're DPSing? Because it goes so fast.
I wouldn't worry about it at all. I just go straight for the target.
So just
keep
like
DPSing.
So ask your bard for the MP, it's okay.
Well, honestly, when I'm really surprised, like with Asais, because in 2.5 I was having MP issues. And this comes back to stat weights as well, because I use Piety as my primary stat weight, and spell speed is the secondary, especially with the new spell speed revamp, even though it's not really that good still. It's better than it used to be. But with the Piety setup, even if I keep full-time DPSing, I use Asais on cooldown, I use Shroud on cooldown. I don't think I ever had a single issue with MP at all. I don't think I ever had Ballad in any of the fights. Maybe A2, but that's a different situation because my Scholar was in the go-kart, so...
Oh, wow. Alright, so let's see here. How are you guys feeling right now? Like, you're good, or...
I'm fine, I'm cool.
Yeah, we kind of like blew through everything.
I'm just annoyed my camera doesn't work. I'm still trying to fix
It's
it.
okay. Like, if it comes back, don't worry about it, I guess.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, I should ask you, Enigma. What's your stat weight preference?
Well, on progression, there's one stat. If you go first, either you're a white mage or a scholar. Piety, piety, endless piety everywhere. On progression, you know. A lot of scholars say, "Oh, crit is the best stat," and you see like a scholar have like 0 piety, just go for crit. Just if you're in progression, please don't do that. Determination is not bad on Scholar either. On progression, it increases your shield amount on a consistent rate rather than RNG that crit has. I think this crit is very overestimated as a stat on Scholar. Yeah, obviously it scales extremely well and stuff like that, but determination really helps. I realized that also on A3 progression on Cascades, like determination could just help to survive and mess up of the fight or stuff like that. But in outside progression, I would just obviously teach some piety on the process and go crit death mix. You know, spell speed is absolutely useless anyway. So for Scholar.
Yeah, but I also thought that like determination with the new formula, it's kind of bad this time.
It's bad for DPSing, I would say, but it still increases your shield potency, like I said, on a consistent rate. It's not like crit, where you say, I might crit this time, and he will get a good shield. Especially when you use Succor, you never rely on crits. Like, you don't count Succor shielding to crit. Determination increases like the overall shielding amount on Scholar. That's just about Scholar only though. I can't really say about DPS because determination is nerfed for the other DPS classes. So yeah, obviously it doesn't have the same weight.
Okay, so that makes more sense.
Definitely, yeah.
Right. Sorry. So let's go ahead and move on to viewer questions, I guess. We don't have too many. So everybody in chat, go ahead and ask your questions now. They'll be collected. Let's start with Clydesdale 101. His question is, personally as a raider, I find it really annoying that there seems to be this meta that white mages solo heal and scholar purely DPS. Can you please explain to people that the method of scholar DPS and white mage solo heal is retarded and a DPS loss? Maybe we can make the game a tad bit better.
I mean, I think I heard this from Sin, but if you put up a dot that doesn't have like initial damage, it doesn't need accuracy. So that's why Scholar do more damage in general, but that's why Scholar usually do really well in damage.
Exactly.
They can also put up the dots, switch back to Cleric or out of Cleric, heal, and they still do damage while they're healing. So it's a no-brainer to have Scholars as a DPS. They also have the pet. Even if you're in Cleric stance, the pet just keeps healing as well.
Yeah, Miunih actually covered like the most critical parts to answer this question. On Scholar, you have 2 spells that don't miss. Obviously, that's the main reason. It's not the same mana-wise when you DPS on White Mage. On Heaven's Word patch, if white mage had like better mana management while DPSing, he would just end up DPSing more in the fights, even more than Scholar. Like the white mage DPS potency is amazing on Heaven's Ward, but
They
you
really
just
are.
can't keep just can't keep up with it in terms of mana and in terms of accuracy as well. That's the thing. On Scholar, by you DPS and you gain mana basically, like with energy drain, with the accuracy of the spells and all that. So the meta is forced just because the classes work like that. The players don't really enforce it. That's the thing.
So then I guess, well, we have seen some pretty good solo healing scholars as well.
Yeah, they're good healers.
Yeah, they are. But why are, I guess, white mages usually the ones that solo heal?
Honestly, because they're more powerful. The direct heals are so much stronger than anything in game. If you take Cure 3 for example, like neither Astro nor Scholar have Cure 3, you stack, you put a Cure 3 up and it's done. And like the other healers they can't do that. They need like 2-3 spells, which is 2-3 globals again.
Yep. Yep. That sums it all pretty much. Like the Cure 3 is so amazing.
They have so
basically.
much output, yeah.
Yeah, a lot more people should be using Cure 3, shouldn't they? It seems like they just don't really use it.
Well, it's situational, honestly. I see a lot of people using Cure 3 when they overcure a lot, and you really shouldn't do that, because Medica is still, even though it heals for less, it's still less MP, and if you overheal, it doesn't matter anyway, because,
Yep.
I mean, overheal doesn't do anything in this game, which is a shame. I wish they did something with that.
Well, except, I guess, enmity generation, but it shouldn't matter anyway.
Well, yeah, but I don't see enmity as an issue, so.
Right. All right, so this question is for Miunih. It's by Skylaroo. He asks, how hard is it to predict healing moments, etc., with playing on you versus NA?
Alright, I don't know if many people know, but I am EU. I play on an NA server, which means I have like a ping of 120. Honestly, it's not that bad. You learn to anticipate your lag, you know, you learn to use it even. In A3 or A4 Savage with the Discord, I actually cure myself before the ball hits me, and it still goes off after the damage actually goes out. So you learn to play with it. You even learn to use it for yourself.
That's kind of crazy. Like, you have a huge disadvantage in your... Well, I guess you don't see it as a disadvantage, but...
Well, sometimes I stand in shit, I move out of it, and I still get hit, and it's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
But-
I can see that. Last night we were doing A4S progression, and I was having lag as well, and it was just kind of annoying how the cure would go off after damage, and then
Yeah.
you'd be dead.
You see the cure, you see the numbers going off.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's pretty dumb.
The amount of times that I benediction like a dead body is
Yeah, holy moly. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened a lot last night too. It's great. Okay, so Teddy FFXIV has a question. Oops, it's gone.
Rip.
Oh, I think somebody's editing questions. All right, so Dante has a question. He
Rip
says,
Teddy.
sorry, Teddy. If it comes back, we'll ask. He says, I always hear people say Selene is better than EOS, but I like using EOS more. Why is Selene considered better?
First of all, like the Heaven's Ward change on Selene is pretty good. I would say it's very, very good. Feywind, how it works, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an EOS fan as well, to be honest, but how Savage is designed, overall it's better to use Selene, especially on fights like A3 that have a harsh DPS check. Overall, the DPS advantage that Selene gives you pretty much ditches the use of EOS. That's basically it. There's nothing more than that, in my opinion. But in terms of, if you ask me, what fade I want to use, I would just go EOS all the way because it's much more convenient for me and my white mates, obviously. But I'm not doing that just for the DPS checks. And
Yeah, it's much safer.
Yeah, seems like it. Wait, do you use the Celine silence during anything?
No.
Okay,
No.
it's not
No,
reliable.
you should never rely on that. It's never going to be consistent, even if you're manually controlling your fairy. Now I remember when we were doing A3 progression, I was trying to do perfect cleanse, like dispel actually, dispel the warrior. Oh my god, pacification, yeah. I was trying like 2 timers, like what, 2 hours? I was trying to do it perfectly. There's no way you can.
It's just not consistent enough.
It's not. So you shouldn't rely on that, honestly.
Alright. Yeah, it makes sense. The same as, I guess, like for our group, it was like if somebody really can't get something, I might try to do like a swift cast holy, but still, that's not reliable at all either.
I don't think enough did that.
Oh, really?
Not even once, no.
I tried once, and it only went off successfully once out of the maybe 4 times I've done it. But
Such a delay.
yeah, it's pretty bad. Skylar asked again, what is your most enjoyable fight in Final Fantasy as a healer and why?
Is that question going for me or Miunih? Or both?
Either one. You both can answer.
Okay, Miunih, go ahead. Yeah.
That's 2 fights actually. Not A4 Savage, I hate that fight.
Oh god.
I like T9 a lot because there's a really good balance between being able to DPS in the first phase and needing to heal in the last phase. Especially with the Meteor. The Meteor phase, it's just great. Like so many people taking damage, you can actually not always anticipate the healing. It's more twitch reaction. It's a good fight. The second one, and it's, I don't know if many people will be surprised, but it's T12. It's such a good healer fight. It's the first fight in game where I actually talked with my co-healer about having a healing rotation for the Bennu phase. There was so much damage going on, we didn't have the gear to survive it. I think we went to 15 stacks when we still had 5 Bennus, and like people had like 1 HP left or something. It was good shit. I fucking love that fight. And even in the last phase, it's like there's so much going on. There's so much healing to do. You actually have to heal and not DPS. And I love that kind of fight.
All right. Yeah. So how about you, Enigma?
Well, I would say, in my opinion, like, turn 13 is amazing to heal as well, as a scholar perspective. It's very punishing if you start on GCDs there. Because, like, you know, the tank busters, the flare breaths, chaining each other, but yeah, I really loved how you could heal on, the style you could heal on turn 13. And the second fight, I would say, is, like, I will agree with you on turn 12. Especially when you handle the debuff passing, like when you have to move and stuff like that. And the Scholar, when you handle the red fire as well. So I had to do the moving, doing the red fire, DPS and heal at the same time. That was a very nice challenge. Like there was so many stuff to do on a single fight that it would make it amazing. But not not frustrating as an A4. A4 is a totally different story, you know.
It's a big difference.
And obviously, I have to mention turn 8. Like it's the turn that everyone started going ham on DPS.
Definitely. So, yeah. Turn 8 is just fun in general, honestly. Especially Savage. It's like what Square Enix tried to do in A4 was a lot of RNG in A4, but they had RNG in T8 Savage, which was the towers. They would never be at the same location. So you still had to think on your feet. But it's like you can anticipate it, but you still have to like pay attention. You still need to communicate well, and that was really fun RNG. And I really hope Square Enix puts that kind of RNG into the next fight, into Midas.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. So I guess going a little bit back about A4S, Jim Leak asked, what would you do to make A4S more healer friendly?
Just remove it.
Yeah, I was gonna I wanted to say the same thing exactly. Let's remove this fight, please.
I hate it so much.
Why do you guys hate it? I mean, besides like you said the RNG, what
It's
else
just
is?
shit.
Well, I mean, the first factor is, well, Miunih obviously can say better, but when we were doing it with Nisi on progression, because I was doing it with Nisi as well on progression, it's just horrible. Like, it's just so much split damage, and then you have like to pass the debuff to check who is taking the orbs to. It's just a nightmare. Seriously.
Yeah, if there's one healer fight in game, it had to be a for Savage. Like the whole fight, just if you do something wrong, it's a wipe, and it's
Yeah.
honestly it's really frustrating. It's just not fun. There's too much damage going everywhere.
Exactly. The split damage makes it really
Yeah.
annoying. Like, you have split damage, I'm talking about the orbs, the Nisi, because if you want to say you did A4, you had to do it on progression with Nisi. Like, that's the real thing there. And I did it with Nisi up to the second pentacle, if I remember correct. And it was a nightmare to keep it up. Seriously, like, it's so easy to tunnel vision there as a healer. Like, I tunnel vision so much sometimes that I'm like, oh, please. Like, yeah.
But isn't A4 just kind of like the fight's predictable though, right?
Not so
Well-
much.
Yeah, not really. You know, like the thing that's predictable is that you can predict where Nisi's going to go and when it's going to go, but it's still a lot of damage. There's still a lot of RNG factors like discrete location,
Yes.
the tethers, which still boggle my mind. The ground target is, I always forget what's it called. It can be under you. Sometimes it doesn't go under you at all. It's too much RNG.
Gotcha. Alright, so Tyserius asks, what do you think Astra would need to be more progression friendly without making the class too broken?
Remove every RNG factor that's involved with it. Pretty much that.
No more you or cards. Drawing
But
the
seriously,
sun.
the RNG factor it's just.
It's dumb.
Why would you invite an Astrologian when you can have a consistent healer like White Mage or Scholar? It's just that. There's nothing more than that. Like, why? I mean, even if you do the math, even if you have a perfect card, talking about progression, yeah, not optimizing a fight that you already know. Even if you do the math and you have perfect cards like balance, AoE, and stuff like that, the gain is still not enough. It's just not there. So
You can't do any DPS yourself either, because people just start dying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention like the mana. The mana level is horrid.
Horrible.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Oh, I mean, okay, so the argument is that, yeah, you can't DPS, but you have, well, it's still RNG.
Well, you
Balance
have
and
to
arrow,
I mean,
Yeah,
you have,
it is RNG.
but you can still bring utility, right? You can increase the DPS of your raid members.
RNG utility though. You can still draw 5 TP cards in a row. Well, you have nothing to do with those cards.
Yeah, pretty
Just
much.
yeah.
Yeah, that's been my experience too.
And I still
Also-
don't understand. Yeah, sorry to
Go ahead.
interrupt.
Go ahead.
I still don't understand why you can shuffle two same cards in a row. Can,
Yeah,
can
it's
someone
dumb.
like answer me this question, please?
So you guys don't like what Yoshi P said about that then recently?
No, it's bullshit. And like when he said, when you had to, when they wanted to fix it, but if they had to fix it, they had to lower the potency of the other cards. Like that made no sense at all. Like, why would you do that? Like the cards are fine. It's just that you can't draw the ones you really want to at certain times. It's too RNG.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you could save one, but it'd be better if you wouldn't keep
Yeah.
drawing the same one like 3 times.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, so Skylaroo asks, what made you guys decide to heal in Final Fantasy? Or was it because maybe you healed in previous games?
Nope, I was a warlock.
I used to heal for some years on another MMORPG. It was more PvP oriented though. some people would probably know it. I was playing on retail server on Lineage 2. I was playing a healer there, similar to Scholar actually, that you could like soak some DPS while healing. I played for like 5 or 6 years, so I don't know. It's just my role. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't feel comfortable playing DPS or tank as a main role.
So I guess why did you choose to heal in this game then?
Well, firstly, like I started playing White Mage. It seemed nice and all. It was pretty slow at the start with the GCDs you had, and like you had just to do one heal per, I don't know, 5 minutes at Sestasa, let's say. It was quite funny at the start, but the role became interesting as you move on. Not really hard, but just way more interesting on fights like ADS after that, and
ADS.
Doing the rot, not enrage, please. Yeah. But yeah, like, and then I rerolled to Scholar, which was way more interesting to me. This was just a bit less boring, but I wouldn't say any healing class in the game is boring. It's actually well designed, except Astro, I would say.
Yeah.
It's their bread and butter, and that's why another healing class is so hard to fit. The Scholar and White Mage are so well designed that how they complement each other that it's just fun, you know. It's just fun to see the HP bars going off and on, and you have a critical situation going on, and you try to save it, and it's just fun. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Chups asks.
Chops?
Yeah, I think I said that
Awesome
right.
name.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
What's your opinion on claiming A4S is the worst fight, even though the people who bandwagon on this opinion never touched the Nisi mechanic?
Well, my message is try Nisi and you'll see how annoying it is. Well,
Yeah.
without Nisi, it's just really a badly designed fight in general. The first 4 phases with Nisi or without Nisi is incredibly boring. You just tunnel against the boss, you take some balls. That's it, really. Then the 4th leg comes and shit hits the fan. Like, it goes from falling asleep to the most intense fight ever. And it's... If they did something good with the first 3 phases, it wouldn't even be that bad of a fight. Also, the fact that Square Enix kind of refuses to, I don't know, fix the fight with, like, for example, putting the pentacles further up apart so people would be forced to do. You see, it's like the fight's not fun at all with if you sacrifice. It's boring. You just DPS and it's just a target dummy, honestly.
I mean, it's so easy to fix that. Like you could just do the same thing that tethers have. When a person dies, the boss gets stuck. You could do the same thing with Nisi.
Definitely.
Someone dies to Pentacle, the boss gets stuck, and it's fixed. And I will agree with Miunih there. Like, if you haven't done the fight with me, well, actually, I killed it with the sack system, obviously. But I did it on progression with Nisi. Up to the second Pentacle. So honestly, if you haven't done the fight with Pentacle at all, you haven't really seen how annoying it is, honestly.
Yeah, we had whole spreadsheets just mapping out every single ability of the boss in seconds, just to try to pass Nisi at the correct time without dying, which is harder than other times.
Yeah.
Sounds like a headache.
It is really a headache. I still have nightmares.
Actually, Miunih POV is very, very nice if someone wants to learn how to play White Mage. If you check his video, how he moves, how he calculates his spell timing and movement, and how he's careful to not pass through another person, and all that stuff. Like, when you see the A4 kill at the first time, you say, oh, this is easy, you know? But stuff are like not easy at all to perform, especially in A4. It's just perfect. It requires so much perfect stuff, from positioning to GCD starvation and Like the bigger problem we had, we had players like passing the Nisi to each other. That was so annoying.
Yep.
With pentacles, like
I don't know.
not
If
before
lots of
pentacles.
people, sorry, I don't know if lots of people know this, but if two Nisses touch each other, like blue and yellow, you die instantly. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about it, and it happens sometimes. And when that happens, you also kind of lose both Nisses, and it's just game over.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also a really annoying fight is, I don't know, maybe Layla said this in the last episode, but when we were doing A4 Savage, there was a moment where we thought, hey, Nissi, the Pentacles, they're the same colors, you probably have something to do. So we went to the first Pentacle, we did it half. I mean, the Pentacles were gone and people died, but that's fine, we raised them. We saw the second Pentacle, and there was no other Nissi like Caspar. It didn't get recast at all, and then we thought, fuck.
Yeah.
We have to keep Nissi alive through the entire fight.
Oh my
It's such a mess.
The disappointment, right? Everyone
Yeah.
was waiting for it to cast the Nisi.
Yo,
Please cast
give
the
her back,
Nisi, please.
Yep.
Nope. You have to
Yeah.
go through this nightmare.
Oh man. Alright, so let's move on to troll questions really quick. There's like 3 of them. Gamepad Goka asks, what is the status of you and Nagu at Miunih?
Piss
Or-
off.
There you have it, Gamepad. Klops asks, question for Miunih. Describe in detail the differences between healing with Full Scholar and Sin Scholar.
I'm not sure if that's a tall question.
And then he did a kappa.
Okay, it's a tall question. It's yeah, Fault kind of sucks. So, I like when we were in like T7 Savage, he had some really good heals, and suddenly his internet just crapped on him, and it never happened for Sin. So, stable internet connection is a better, definitely.
There you go. Tyseus asked question for Enigma. What happened to tanking in Discovery Channel?
What?
Oh yeah, this is something we were doing when I was on Ragnarok. It's like I would play my alt. I'm a horrible tank, I admit it. Okay, not at all actually. At the start I was, but we were entering the Duty Finder fights, and we were having some nice fun. But yeah, it's a troll question. Please.
The next one is also for you, Enigma, by Command Ant King. He asks how many times you slap people during progression.
This question is a joke as well, but I will use it as a real actually question. A lot, I would say. Healers should if the tanks don't communicate with each other and healers, you should always take the opportunity to do it. Actually, I want to say if you play any type of healer, make sure you communicate enough with your tanks. Make sure your tanks are using their cooldowns properly. I've seen a lot of times where a tank will keep convalescence up in the fight for like 5 minutes, like we said before, and will not use it effectively. Make sure you know what skills your tanks have. As a healer, you don't need to play the class. I mean, obviously, it's best if you can play all the tanks, so you have a perspective of how they work. But make sure you know what skills the tanks have in their basket. Let's say how many eggs they have in the basket. What each skill do, and push them if they don't do it by themselves. Push them to use something in a certain way. Don't expect the tanks to tell you. It's a bit harder to have a perspective as a healer rather than having a perspective as a healer having played a tank. I don't know how that came out, but yeah. Basically the tank doesn't really know how sometimes it will make it easier for you. You have the better insight in the fight.
So how would you like kind of suggest us to kind of know the tank perspective? Just play it, or
Well, you don't need to play it. Just read up on the skills. If you're a healer, read
Or
up
ask it to.
how the warrior is, especially the warrior skill usage. What cooldowns Dark Knight has, what cooldowns Paladin have. You see a tank buster that creates a very hard time for you, and a rampart is not enough. Let's say. You say, can you swap this and that? I can give an example actually. Yeah, it's a very good example. On turn 13, a lot of tanks were starting with Hallowed Ground for the first flatten, which was a major mistake in my opinion as a healer especially.
Yeah.
Like, I would say why? Why do you push your cooldown cycle so much that you actually don't have cooldowns? For the second phase, the second flatten, that's where I had major problems with tank busting. Tanks will usually have Rampart, I think, and awareness. I can't really recall because it's a long time. But I remember I forced my tank to not start with Hallowed, and he was using it on the second flatten, let's say. So me and the white mage were winning so many GCDs on that one. So it was an overall DPS gain. It's just an example I can give of how you can optimize the fight as a healer, instructing the tank what to do better. Yeah, that's basically.
that's actually a pretty good idea.
It's also important to like communicate with your tank, if don't be scared to ask questions. When I first entered A3 with a Dark Knight, I had no idea what the abilities of a Dark Knight are, and he would say it's like I'm doing Dark Hearts, whatever, and I just ask what is that, and he says like it's like Rampart. I thought okay, I know what to do with it now. So just don't be scared to ask questions. That's how we learn.
Yeah, that's a pretty
I
good
noticed
advice.
something in the chat that I want to also highlight. A lot of monks and dragoons, especially, don't use mantra effectively.
Yeah.
Healers, it's best for the healers to say, I need mantra there and there. Like, if you're gonna use a mantra on a thing you're gonna overheal anyway, like, check how much use it has. For example, I asked my dragoon to use mantra on A4 Savage during the ad feeds. Only the main tank, I think, and the off tank get it, but I don't care. I want only the off tank and the main tank to get the mantra. It makes it much
That makes
easier.
sense.
Like, just pay attention on that as well. There's so many stuff you can just look around and fix and make your life so much easier.
So is the weak mantra kind of worth it? This was
Sure.
actually asked too.
Sure. Yes,
Okay.
everything is worth
If you need healing,
True.
It depends when you use it, but as I said, it depends. Like, I've seen a lot of dragoons or monks using mantra on a useless moment. It's okay for them because they don't really have the healer perspective. You're the one that you need to push them, you know.
it's the same with Blood for Blood as well. Like I remember very vividly in T13 that Cody, our bard, was dying, and I was wondering why the fuck is he dying? And then I looked at him, and he had Blood for Blood. And since I know he had Blood for Blood, I would just use Cure 2s instead of Cure 1s just to keep him alive, so just he can keep his damage up. And it's the same with, like, even if you have cooldowns to reduce damage, you also need to know about cooldowns that increase damage, like not having grid on. Going into the opposite of Defiance, whatever it's called. It's good to know what it does.
Yeah, and I guess it's also kind of with the cooldowns, if your tank is going off grid, it's kind of good to know what they need to be pushing out cooldown wise. So we actually got some more questions. Teddy asks, do you have a preference on what tank to heal and why?
Paladin. They don't take damage, it's amazing. They don't do damage, but they don't take a lot of damage either. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I
Well,
agree.
as a scholar, what would I say anyway? Paladin, I can be in clerics once more. But, in all seriousness, if it's a personal preference thing, yeah, both healers will say Paladin. If it's an effectiveness thing, I think the best is for the white mages to heal the warrior now, and the scholar to heal the paladin or dark knight, because the the last trades don't really scale with convalescence. They don't. That convalescence doesn't work on last trade, and in general, like the healing boost is better now on this patch we have for the white mage.
Yeah, definitely. Also, like I can tell you which tank I don't like to heal, and that's Dark Knights, because they just die.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I tweeted a few gifs of Yoda the tank just getting one shot, and there's nothing I can do about it, and I hate it. I hated it so much. I was always begging, please use Paladin, and like Loda would come in and say, nope, we're doing Dark Knight. It made me sad.
Yeah, I understand the feels.
One guy is asking why the scholar should heal the main tank. Like I said before, the last rate doesn't scale with Defiance, and it doesn't. It got changed on Heaven's Ward. Don't forget that. It doesn't heal on the max HP. It does a flat amount of heal based on potency. So
Yep.
that's why the scholar doesn't. It's not worth to be on the warrior in general. That's why like you can't heal them anymore for their max HP. So you're gonna waste a lot of mana to top them up or do stuff based on their cooldowns. That's the main
Good
reason.
point, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we actually did some tests between our tank and and yeah, that's actually true. So Redemption Lost asks, say the game progresses more away from DPS checks and more about synergy or controlling the battlefield. Would they still be healers?
Yes.
Yes.
Why not?
Oh, and then he says, what would they like to see from the game to make less focus on the DPS healer meta?
Not A4. Like that was a really healer intensive fight, but I don't want to see anything like that again. What I want to see is something like T12 again, where you actually had like a phase where the DPS had to DPS really hard, the tanks had to be on point, and the healers still, had to heal. They didn't have to DPS; they actually had to heal. Otherwise, just the party died. And I love those kind of fights. I really wish there was more like T12 or T7 Savage is a great
Yeah.
healer fight. I love that fight as a healer, even though I don't love it because people always make stupid mistakes, and one mistake you wipe. But T7 Savage was actually really fun as a healer. You had a lot of things to do. You had the double poison that you had to dispel and had to communicate
yeah.
with the healer.
Yeah.
It was great. And if you fucked that up, you kind of wiped the
Yep.
raid. But if you
Yep.
did it right, you felt really fucking good.
Yep.
I mean, now it's not as fun because the nerf is so bad.
Yeah, definitely. But at the time when you did it in like 110 gear, it felt so good when you cleared it as a healer.
Yeah.
I really hope they put more mechanic wise and less
Yep.
gear checks and DPS checks.
Yeah, agreed. Skylaroo has a troll question for Miunih. Why do you
Oh.
wear that disgusting yellow dye?
I mean, disgusting. It's the best dye ever. There's no better dye. I mean, if you don't see that, maybe go to get your ice check scared.
Razor Sharp
The yellow is
also kind of asked, this is kind of related. Do you and Rin-chan have talks about honey yellow dye?
We do, actually. Like, I think today, no, yesterday I went with him I went to level monk, and he was white mage. And, like, he had his honey yellow, but I didn't kind of agree with it, because he didn't mix honey yellow well with, like good blacks. Honey yellow goes really well with black, and he just had all honey yellow, and I thought, no, dude, you can't do that. You need to mix it with some good blacks.
There you
Maybe
go.
some red.
Yeah. And then Layla asks, who is your favorite Gilgamesh Lalafell?
I'm gonna pass.
All right, we're gonna pass. So how are you guys feeling? I think we're done with questions.
Pretty good.
All right, awesome. If you want, we can go ahead and do a short like job discussion.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, we've already covered like most of it, but I think we should still be okay. I guess let's go on with Scholar. For outlook on Scholar and Heavensward content, do you have any opinions or thoughts or improvements needed?
I'm not sure about improvements. I haven't really devoted the time to think what we should get instead of something else. But I could say a couple of stuff. For example, like I don't quite get why the Adlo spreads the eye for an eye exactly. It's
Yeah,
quite,
it's so dumb.
it's the use you're gonna have on it is extremely limited. Like you can barely make any use of it, honestly. I would say it's okay to just spread the ad law, but okay, whatever. Indomitability was amazing. Obviously, I don't think any scholar would complain. Dissipation has very limited, it's not useless. You can find a lot of uses for it, but it has so limited use that it's actually annoying. That you can't really use your level 60 skill as much as you would like to, because like
Yeah,
Scholar, like the fair is your main resource. You really need to find a good excuse to sacrifice it. And on my perspective, I would sacrifice it like once per fight maximum, and that's it. So for emergency tactics, I would say it's okay. It's not really a nice skill like indomitability, but I'm saying it's fine-ish. I don't know. I'm not going to complain much about emergency tactics. I would like it to have a smaller animation lock, but yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
that
supposed to be emergency tactics, not like I'm casting a spell while you could cast like 5 more. The last trade change, personally, I like it. I think it balanced Scholar a bit more. The fact that you could last trade through cleric stance was broken. I mean, come on, like that thing was overpowered, and I didn't complain at all. I actually liked the fact that it went potency based, so you could make it useful to other targets because it was just a tank heal. You couldn't heal a DPS or yourself or whatever. So yeah, I like that they worked around last trade. It's quite a fair change for the Scholar. About the pet, a lot of people are complaining that Embrace got its heal lowered. The thing is, it's okay because I need to find the right words to explain it. The healing the healing ratio in comparison to the level and the stat weight got bigger. Like you have more. Eventually the embrace gonna come back. It's just like the stat to heal ratio just got lower.
That's the skilled. Yeah.
So if some scholars wonder why my very heals less, or I'm just gonna say it's gonna get higher again. But yeah, it was quite nice. So to sum it up, like apart from the dissipation, actually, I'm fine with the Scholar, how they implemented its skills and stuff like that. It's pretty good. Like, yeah.
Alright, good. So we don't have too much to complain about Scholar then. What about White Mage? Miunih, what do you think with the outlook of White Mage so far in Heavensward?
It's overpowered as fuck, really. Like, it got so much shit, like, it's almost another scholar. It has Tetragrammaton, I think it's called. It's
Yep.
amazing. I use it almost on cooldown instead of a Curti, because it's no MP, it's instant, it's off global even, it's great. Asylum I use on cooldown, it's terrific, it's so much healing, it's off global again, there's no MP, size is great.
Yep.
More than people think actually, because it doesn't all, it's good because you can use it both in and out of cleric stance. But the best thing about it is it scales with piety, which the more
Yeah.
piety you have, the more MP you get back. I really wish people would use it more, even in cleric stands. Don't keep it, then don't save it for like a big heal. You can always use Swift class if you really need that big heal. What else did we get? Arrow 3, terrific. Great spell. Just put it on. It doesn't matter if it's single target or AoE, it's just great. It's more damage. It's, I think, 30 seconds. You put it on, you go back into healing mode. It's great.
Oh, and also
love
Stone
class.
3. Stone 3 is alright.
Stone 3.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, the thing about Stone 3 is it makes Stone 2 completely, like, useless. Like, I don't even have it on my bar anymore because it's just
Yeah.
a straight up replacement. I kind of wish they would, like, put maybe a slow effect on Stone or something. Maybe use it for PvP. I don't know.
Yeah,
It feels like a waste.
it is pretty much, except like when you have to do lower dungeons.
Yeah, but then I have to find the button again. Then.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying. How about like with the Stone Skin nerf? Is
I
there?
hated it so much. But now I'm used to it. Stone Skin is really quick. I use it less though, which is a shame. But it's really quick, so it's you can put it in between like a heal easier, but it's still 10%. It's still just as good as like an Astro casting Stone Skin, which you shouldn't. But I mean, it's the same thing, only it's quicker. So it's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
I like Stone Skin too, though.
Yeah, and every other job wants it too.
Yep.
All right, so no big complaints with White Mage as well. So on the Astro, which is kind of the big one, it seems like it's pretty difficult to find a player who actually like promotes Astro for progression, at least. So let's just
Yeah.
like go ahead and dish out our thoughts on it. Like, what do you think about Astro?
Go ahead.
It's shit. And I can explain to you why. The main issue isn't even MP or RNG, which is big issues. The main issue is you get behind really quickly, and it's because you don't have the output that either healers have, and it tries to imitate them, but it's, like I think Yoshi even said, they want to imitate it, but do not want to overpower it, which is the whole issue, because a good example is a Spectred Benefic, which puts a region on a target with an upfront heal worth the region, I think. Now, it is, I think, 30 potency better than region actually is, but the thing is, it's 3 seconds shorter, which means every minute you have, I think, 3 globals less than a White Mage would have, which is 3 stones, which is 3 cures. That's a lot of globals. If you put that in a 30-minute fight, I think I calculated it's about 40k damage that you're missing just from one spell alone. And it's the same with all the other spells. It's where White Mage has Asylum, which is an AoE region. I don't know what it's called, but it's the big bubble, and you have to put it up. You have to wait for it to proc. Sometimes you need to stand in it because you need more mitigation. You can't do anything, and it's such a waste for, like, doing nothing as a healer is just stupid. Honestly, it's so much global you could have done in damage.
Yeah.
And it's the same with all the other like abilities. They're just not as good as the other healer. What I kind of want them to do is to honestly redesign the class. To make it its own unique identity. Don't try to copy the other 2 classes which are already established and have great synergy with each other. Try to make it like a unique class that people want to use. Sinistry is great. I love Sinistry. Which is also a problem because a lot of the ASD spells have a double meaning. Like Sinistry has a healing potency increase, but also has a split target for healing. So if you heal target A, target B gets healed. But it also has a Divine Seal in it, so you want to use it. Basically, a healer likes to specialize. in one thing, and AST
I
tries to
want to
do
add
both at the
something.
same time.
I
Yeah,
want
go
to add
ahead.
something to Sinastry. What I dislike about it is the range. Actually,
Yeah,
if the targets go out of range, it just doesn't work. This is very annoying, and it shouldn't work like that, in my opinion. Especially
yeah.
on A1 is the main problem if you want to do it with Astro, and yeah, like why would it not work if the tanks go out of range? Like why? It's not even overpowered.
Range is a big issue with AST anyway, because you've expected Helios, which is like the Medica 2, but it's 5 yards shorter,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
like the Shaco range.
really,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
annoying.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing too, because a lot of the Alexander raids are like huge. Like there it
Yeah,
is.
definitely.
Yeah.
And that's why you use Medica 2. You just usually swift cast it, go to the middle,
Yep.
click it. That's one global gone. And
Yeah.
like in AST, you use it, and half the party doesn't even get it. It's why would you use it?
And like Munich said, it's just that Astro starves so much to catch up in terms of healing as well.
Yeah.
Look at the emergency spells he has. Essential Dignity, and that's it. No Divine Seal. The Divine Seal has a huge cooldown, and it's inside another skill. If you basically on Astrologian, if you get behind on heals, you're just dead. There's no way to catch up.
Yeah, you can't
And
catch up. Yeah.
and you basically end up not using Essential Dignity as an emergency spell. You use it as a catch-up spell. Why? Like this is the one of the major things that needs to be fixed on Astro. You basically
Definitely.
need to use Essential Dignity on cooldown to be on par. You don't use it, you're just behind on heals.
It's a shame because the class actually is really fun to play, and it looks amazing. The animations of it are
Yeah.
probably the best thing in game. Like I fucking love it. Even the limit break, it's the best limit break in game. If I could use it all the time, I would. It's
I mean, overall though, I wouldn't really blame Square Enix too much for that. Like, I understand that they created Scholar and White Mage so on par with each other that it's really, really, really hard to create another healer to fit in and not be overpowered. Because it's
yeah.
the easiest thing to just make Astrologia overpowered and ditch one healer, which will probably be the White Mage. It's just not easy to make it on par. Like, I have to admit it's extremely difficult to do, and yeah.
Yeah, because you got amazing mitigation from Skola. Like at low, a cut at low, it's GG. You can go AFK, you come back, and the boss is dead. Like White Mage does the Reason, Asylum. You just heal without doing anything, and AST can't really do anything without really spending some serious resources.
Right. But that's not to say, like, for all those people watching, like, there are good Astros. Like, you can
Absolutely.
play
Sure,
really well.
of course, of
It's
course.
just, yeah, like, everybody's
it's-
saying.
We're talking about like small things here. It's not like you can't use it in progression, but
Yeah.
it's in the state that it's now. It's not going to be in any Vault 10 clears at all because it just people will use the class that's better, and at the moment, that's the other two ones.
All right, so I mean, I guess we could talk about this more, but we aren't like, gung ho about like Astros or anything. So we could go back to questions real quick, before we end the show.
I don't know. I like AST.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
really do.
I do as
It's,
well.
it's just a shame. It's not as good. Otherwise, I would probably main AST even. I really like it.
I mean, we could talk about cards if you want. Other
As,
questions about cards.
it's important to highlight though, as Miunih said, we're talking about progression if you want to do it competitively.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
always play Astrologian and do fine and clear the fight. Of course, it's possible to clear the fight unless it was the release Astrologian. I would have to debate on that. But on the current state of Astrologian, you can clear every fight. It's just for progression, it might slow you down a bit. So if you don't mind about speed, that you want to clear stuff, go ahead and play Astrologian. You don't have to play Scholar or White Mage if you don't want to.
Yeah,
It's just
definitely.
if you want to do world competitive kills, it's just some details that set you ahead if you don't have an Astrologian.
All right. So Let's see. Alice Fate asks, what is their opinion on crit versus spell speed on White Mage?
I love spell speed
Same.
because the thing with crit is like you're not gonna count on crits. If it's great, I'm actually kind of liking it, but I don't want to advertise it too much. Because seeing those 12k QR2s is a good fucking feeling. But like, even if you do it, you calculate what does my QR2 do? It does about 6k. Is the tank is about 8k under? You're not gonna count. Well, I hope my QR crits.
Yeah.
No, you calculate. He needs
Exactly.
6k. You use your QR2, and spell speed is honestly just the only stat that actually doesn't really have much overhealing.
You just need to be careful though with spell speed. You need to make sure you know how you can cancel your spell.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you're not really abusing it too much, like going out of mana too fast or doing too much overhealing and stuff like that. You have to always adjust to your spell speed, which is like not really hard to do. Like I had this experience when I was playing White Mage, and I was precasting Q3 on Thordan, and I had so much spell speed that it was coming like before the. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Alright, and then Tech asks, what is one piece of advice both of you would give to a Sprout healer?
I would say go slowly, make research. If you want, depending how you want to play, if you want to play good, there's a lot of stuff to read on the internet. Watch videos of hard and easy fights of healers that are actually good, and play both healers. If you if you want to have a real perspective of how your co-healer does and what he has to do, and you have to have experience for both healers. Basically, it's extremely important for me to have played both White Mage and Scholar, and then you go to your main class.
Do you have anything for Sproutlings, Miunih?
I'm thinking, and the only thing I can remember when I was really shit was I went into Titan Heart mode, which was like I was on Sagatana, so I had all my 50s already before almost everyone else. And I went there as a black mage actually, and then people thought, hey, we need 3 healers for this fight. So I thought, hey, I'm a white mage. Hello, I'm a white mage. So I switched to white mage, and we 3 healed it, and I was so shit at it. It was unreal. I spam my Medica 2s over and over again. I refresh my region at like instantly, and I actually have a video of I think T4, and I look at it sometimes and I think, holy fuck, I can't believe I actually cleared this. Like, what am I doing? So, but yeah, the main thing you should really do is go out there, experiment, read your tooltips, because most healers don't for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's a very, very good point.
The thing I learned most about is just watch other people play, like see what they do. I actually watched Hadley when he did T9, and even though if you think like you're the best healer, you can still learn from other people. Even now, I sometimes go to Sai, which is a guy in Elysium, and I say, hey dude, what do you do in A3? And you get a lot of good tips. Like, don't think you're done learning. There's always more to learn.
Yeah, that's a very good perspective to take on it. And Mr. Happy asks me, why is astrology Miu's favorite job?
It looks good. Like, I like the glamour of it. The animations are good. It's a good job. It's a good
That's
job.
a troll question, though. Alright, so another troll question from Ghost Poke. How many times have you eaten your fairy? Total.
What? How many times I have eaten my fairy?
Yeah.
I don't like fairy meat, I'm sorry, mate. It just doesn't taste good.
It's gross. Alright, so that's it for the questions, it looks like. I think, are you guys pretty good? Is there anything else you'd like to talk about with healers?
I don't know.
Seems like we pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm trying to think of, but it doesn't come to my head at the moment.
Yeah. Alright. Well, that's okay. If we ever come up with a ton of more content, we can always make an episode 2. But this is very good. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show today.
Yes, it was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry that Frosty couldn't be here. He's usually like a lot smoother with everything. But this was fun. It was good. Let's do shout outs. Let me go ahead and see if Frosty's gonna do it. Shout out. Enigma, do you have a Twitch or?
I couldn't find your Twitter. So I don't know if you have a Twitter.
Yeah.
No, I'm not currently using Tweet. I have a Twitch account, but I'm not really streaming due to connection. Like my connection can really handle it. But I haven't done an Instagram now.
Do you have a way for people to kind of reach you? Maybe if they have questions or.
Yeah, you can contact me on Guildwork actually.
All right. So.
I can't. Yeah, I can't log into Guildwork. But my nickname is the same. It's Enigma.
Okay.
So I'm on Cerberus server. If you have anything to ask or any question that you need to clarify on, yeah, just add me on Guildwork, and I will be more than happy to actually reply.
All right. Awesome. And then we also have Miunih's Twitch linked up there with Mubot. If you guys want to go ahead and follow him, he does stream. Do you stream normally or often?
Not often. Sometimes when I'm bored.
Right, so you guys can catch him there. So thank you to all the viewers that made it out today. Thank you for all the Patreon subscribers and for all the questions that were gathered. Thank you so much. And the artwork, which was actually made by Blazana. The next show will be next Saturday, January 9th at 2 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern Time, or 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, there we go. And we will be discussing raid leading with Shaman Arc and Blazana. And maybe Frosty might be back. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know. Now, let's see here. Let's go ahead and go back to the closing screen. Alright, no! That's the wrong thing. And
Rip.
yeah, totally. Closing screen. Yay, we got it! Alright, so thank you guys so much for coming today. I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream.